What seemed like a quiet morning on the farm suddenly turned into chaos the moment the farmer stepped outside and saw the entire field torn apart. Rows of crops had been ripped from the ground. The soil churned up as if a violent storm had swept through overnight. But there were no signs of weather, only deep, stretched footprints left behind, pointing to one clear conclusion: the wild boars had returned. They weren't moving randomly. They were following familiar paths, repeating the same routes night after night like a pattern already set in motion. At first, the damage was small and scattered. A corner of the field disturbed, a few rows of crops overturned. But it didn't take long for things to escalate. The destruction grew more severe, and the boars began appearing in larger numbers, moving in organized groups, taking turns rooting through the soil in search of food. What worried the farmer wasn't just the scale of the damage, but how quickly they adapted. They learned to recognize danger, avoided simple traps, and even shifted their activity hours to stay out of human sight. One of the oldest methods used to deal with them is the cable snare trap. Steel cables are carefully hidden beneath a thin layer of soil, placed directly along the boar's regular travel routes. When an animal steps into position, the loop tightens almost instantly. No sound, no warning, just a fast and precise mechanism. But setting these traps requires a deep understanding of boar behavior, from how they move to the exact spots where they pause to sniff and assess their surroundings. Even so, snare traps only deal with individual animals. When entire sounders keep returning, farmers are forced to scale up their approach. That's when large net traps come into play, systems designed to capture multiple animals at once. A wide circular net is set up around a baited area, with the net initially lifted off the ground, so the boars can move in and out freely without triggering suspicion. For days, food is placed at the center while the trap remains open. The boars enter, feed, and leave without consequence. Slowly, a sense of safety builds. Then, at the right moment, when the entire group has moved deep inside, the system is triggered. The net drops in seconds, enclosing the entire sounder at once. No escape, no second chance. The response is simply too fast for them to adapt. In areas with especially high populations, metal corral traps offer a more stable solution. Built from heavy steel panels, these enclosures create a controlled space with a one-way gate, allowing boars to enter but not exit. The design takes advantage of their instinct. Once they see food ahead, they move forward without hesitation, step by step, deeper into the trap. These traps are typically placed along the edges where forest meets farmland, natural crossing points the boars use regularly. Bait is positioned deep inside, forcing them to commit fully. Once one enters, others quickly follow, creating a chain reaction. In a single night, an entire group can be contained without triggering panic, preserving the structure of the herd. What sets these methods apart is not just their effectiveness, but their strategy. Instead of direct confrontation, farmers rely on the boar's own habits and instincts to control them. Each trap is more than just a tool. It's the result of careful observation, testing, and constant adjustment based on specific terrain and environmental conditions. This is a quiet form of control, unseen, methodical, and dependent on patience and precision. When traps are placed in the right location at the right time, they don't just reduce damage, they help restore balance between humans and the environment. And the question remains, can people stay one step ahead, or will they always be adapting to the ever-changing behavior of wild boars?
Don't come to me. It's gone.
In just one night, a field in central Texas was turned into a churned-up wasteland, rows of crops overturned as if a massive plow had passed through in the darkness. The estimated damage exceeded $60,000, and by sunrise, all that remained were dense tracks and completely destroyed patches of soil. With no other option, the farmer was forced to shift from defense to proactive control. But the question still lingered: could a single solution stop the entire herd, or would everything repeat the next night? The data from cameras and ground traces quickly revealed one thing: the herd was not moving randomly. They returned to the exact same route, the exact same point. An open area right at the edge of the field was selected as the trap location. A circular steel system was assembled with a diameter of nearly 10 meters, creating a space large enough for the entire herd to enter without feeling pressured. No gaps, no suspicious elements. Everything was designed to resemble a naturally safe zone. Steel panels were secured with deep-driven posts, strong enough to withstand the impact of fully grown boars. At the center of the trap, dozens of kilograms of corn were spread out daily. But the key factor was not the amount of bait, it was timing. For the first 4 nights, the gate remained fully open. The boars began to return, first as cautious scouts, then gradually the entire herd entered and fed without hesitation. Cameras captured every step, from initial hesitation to complete comfort moving inside the trap area. That was the critical moment, when suspicion disappeared. On the 5th night, everything changed. Once the entire herd had moved deep inside, the operator monitored remotely via phone. With a single signal sent, the steel gate dropped instantly. No loud noise, no prolonged chaos, just a brief moment, and the entire herd was contained inside. Every escape route vanished, and their only chance was gone in an instant. The result exceeded expectations. 37 wild boars captured in a single operation. The total estimated weight surpassed 3,000 pounds. But the real value was not in the numbers, it was in completely breaking the herd's return cycle. If only individual animals were removed, the rest would quickly adapt and become harder to approach. But when the entire herd is controlled at once, the cycle of destruction is effectively stopped. However, the damage caused by wild boars goes far beyond torn-up soil. They also carry invisible risks, from infectious diseases that can spread to livestock, to disruptions across the entire farming ecosystem.
Oh my God!
When they penetrate deep into livestock areas, they can become carriers of biological threats that farmers cannot manage through conventional means. More dangerously, when cornered, large adult boars can react with extreme aggression. Weighing hundreds of kilograms and capable of powerful impacts, they pose a threat not only to crops but to human safety. That is why control must be carried out remotely, using automated systems, rather than direct confrontation. When the operation ended, the field gradually returned to silence. Standing on the land that had just been reclaimed, the farmer understood this was more than a single success, it was a shift in approach. No more reactive responses, no more chasing losses. Instead, strategic control, calculated execution, and enough force to stop the problem at its source. And in that silence, one thing became clear. In nature, the most dangerous threat is not what appears suddenly, but what returns every night, precise, repetitive, and increasingly difficult to stop, until humans decide to change how they confront it. As the on-site coordinator of a rapid response team, he had handled numerous emergency situations. But what had just unfolded in this suburban area still left a heavy feeling.
Golly!
Steel structures trembled violently, and the ground seemed to pulse under the weight of tons of muscle. It all began when cornfields were flattened after just a few nights, forcing the wild boar herd to abandon their familiar feeding grounds and spill into residential areas. At around 8 a.m., an urgent video was sent to the control center. In the middle of a busy street, a wild boar suddenly burst out from a blind corner and launched a direct attack on a pedestrian. Its speed was so fast that there was almost no time to react. Once the situation was brought under control, the team immediately assessed the cause. Food sources on the barren hills had been depleted, forcing the herd to push deeper into human-inhabited areas. The situation was deemed critical. Roads were immediately cordoned off, and a large-scale control operation was deployed in the border zone. Before setting traps, the technical team conducted hours of field surveys. Fresh tracks pressed into soft mud, torn strips of tree bark, and deep trenches dug along the forest edge all pointed to the presence of a large herd. Once movement patterns were identified, a reinforced steel hexagonal drop trap was deployed as a reconnaissance tool. With its moderate size, it was used to test reactions and estimate the herd scale. As night fell, at 11:24 p.m., infrared cameras recorded 2 individuals entering the central area. Each weighed nearly 40 kilograms. The activation command was issued immediately. The door slammed shut, securing the 2 targets. However, on the monitor, larger shadows still lingered outside, cautious and unwilling to enter. Clearly, acting too early had made the rest of the herd wary. The strategy was quickly adjusted. This time, a high-strength aluminum alloy box trap was deployed, with an enclosed design to reduce suspicion. The target was no longer the entire herd, but individual animals of large size and aggressive behavior, the most direct threats to the residential area. At around 2 a.m., a massive wild boar appeared, weighing an estimated 300 kilograms. It moved in slowly, then began feeding on fermented corn bait. The trap was triggered. Trapped inside, the animal slammed against the metal walls, producing violent crashes in the night. But the decisive solution lay in the next step. A large-scale circular trap system was erected at the transition zone between the hills and the town. The steel frame, over 2 meters tall and nearly 10 meters in diameter, was suspended above the ground by a cable system. The open design lowered the herd's guard. Fermented grain was spread in a wide circle below. That night, the massive trap proved effective. Around 10 individuals rushed in, pushing and competing for food. Once the entire herd was within range, the system was activated remotely. The steel frame dropped, sealing the space inside. Chaos erupted, but the noise was quickly contained within the enclosed structure. The next morning, just as things seemed to settle down, another emergency call came in. Cameras detected another large group entering a smaller trap. Despite its limited size, the results exceeded expectations. The activation command was issued immediately. With no escape, the entire herd panicked and attempted to break free, but in vain. The steel system had blocked every possible route. The rapid response team quickly approached the site using specialized vehicles. A pickup truck was positioned close to the trap gate. Using long poles, each animal was guided into the transport compartment in a controlled manner, minimizing panic. In cases where individuals were too aggressive and posed danger, on-site safety intervention measures were immediately applied.
Get in.
When the last animal was removed, the tense atmosphere gradually eased. This was not just a routine control operation, but a test of patience, observation, and real-time tactical adaptation. From reading ground signs to understanding how the herd reacted to each type of trap, every detail played a decisive role. Only by truly understanding their behavior could humans regain control of the situation and restore peace to the community. For many years of participating in wild boar control operations, seasoned individuals have consistently emphasized a core principle. When wild boars begin appearing on public roads, the issue has already extended beyond the scope of a single farm. A fully grown individual can weigh hundreds of kilograms. If it suddenly charges onto the road in the dark, it is fully capable of causing serious collisions. In states such as Texas or Florida, such situations occur frequently, and the consequences often unfold faster than humans can respond. Early in the morning, groups of farmers, together with control teams, were already in place. A large map was spread out, and high-risk areas were quickly identified. Sections of land that had been uprooted, areas where livestock frequently appeared, as well as crossing points where herds typically moved across roads were all carefully marked. This was not a spontaneous reaction, but a plan built on real-world observation and data accumulated over time. At the central location, a large-scale corral trap system was constructed. This was the key element of the entire strategy, to contain the entire herd in a single operation. The setup process was deliberate and calculated. Bait was arranged in layers, guiding from the outside inward, forming a natural path that led the herd deeper into the trap zone. The objective was not to attract them immediately, but to create a sense of familiarity. During the first nights, cameras only captured them standing outside, probing and observing. By the second night, a few smaller individuals began to step inside. Then, over successive nights, their alertness gradually faded, and the entire herd moved deeper toward the center. Persistence began to yield results. Once the herd had developed a habit of approaching the trap area, the moment for action was determined. The gate was triggered and shut in an instant. Inside, chaos erupted immediately. The herd compressed together, circling and constantly shifting direction within the confined space. Heavy impacts against the steel frame produced deep, muffled sounds, not overly piercing, but heavy enough to create a palpable sense of tension for anyone standing nearby. Even so, experienced individuals were not drawn into that chaos. They did not focus on the movement of the herd, but instead observed the structure of the trap itself, every joint, every load-bearing bar, every point that might be subjected to intense pressure. Because this was the most critical phase. A single minor flaw in design or installation could cause the entire plan to collapse within seconds. Inside the trap, the herd continued to move relentlessly, searching for any possible escape. Yet the structure of the trap remained intact. No weak points were broken, no gaps emerged. All pressure was contained within controlled limits. And that was the defining factor, not strength, but the ability to control the situation. In surrounding areas, secondary traps also began to take effect. Individuals that broke away or deviated from the group were intercepted. The entire team held their positions, performing exactly the roles assigned in advance. There were no sudden changes, no actions outside the plan. Everything operated like a carefully calculated system. After just 1 week, the effectiveness became clearly visible. No new tracks appeared near residential areas. No more herds crossed the roads at night. Cameras recorded a distinct change. The area grew quieter, and daily life gradually returned to normal. Roads that once posed hidden dangers had now become safer, at least for the time being. A well-conceived plan, executed with patience and precision, will always deliver more sustainable results than any rushed reaction. This is not merely a story about wildlife control, but about how humans re-establish boundaries between residential areas and nature, between stability and chaos. And from such operations, a principle gradually becomes clear. When the movement of these animals can be controlled, everything around them can be protected.
At first, everything was seen as just a minor incident, a one-time nighttime intrusion. But as the footprints began to repeat, as one garden after another was torn up in the same way, people gradually realized that this was no longer random. Wild boars do not move aimlessly. They follow familiar paths, returning to places where they had previously found food. With each passing night, the traces overlapped with old ones, like an invisible map being redrawn with unsettling precision. That repetition completely changed how the locals perceived the situation. Once wildlife had formed habits, the question was no longer whether they would return, but how to break the cycle. And when the boars appeared in groups, isolated responses from individual households quickly became meaningless. Conversations between neighbors became more frequent. Experience was shared, data was connected. Each footprint, each damaged area, each movement route gradually formed pieces of a larger picture. It did not take long for people to understand that they were facing a shared problem, a structured behavioral system rather than isolated incidents. Familiar measures such as making noise or building fences only brought temporary results. The boars might slow down, but they did not give up. They learned to adapt, find detours, and return when things became quiet. At that point, the problem had already exceeded the control of any individual. In that context, an important decision was made. Instead of acting separately, the entire community would coordinate as a unified system. Landowners, farmers, and residents came together, compiling all observations and agreeing on a common strategy. The goal was no longer to handle individual animals, but to control the entire herd. A large-scale enclosure trap was established, based entirely on the routes the wild boars had repeatedly followed over many days. The trap was designed to be spacious enough not to cause panic, yet still ensure that all movement remained under control. A sturdy steel frame was reinforced to withstand strong impacts when the gate closed. There was no rush or force. Instead, people allowed the boars' natural habits to guide them into the prepared area. Day by day, patience became the decisive factor. The trapping system did not operate in a fully automatic way. Instead, technology was used as a supporting tool to improve accuracy. Surveillance cameras streamed live footage, allowing people to monitor every movement remotely. The trap gate was controlled via smartphones, enabling them to choose the exact moment of intervention. Nothing was done impulsively. Everything was based on careful observation and precise timing. They did not rush. They observed every movement, every subtle reaction. And only when the entire herd had entered inside, when no individual remained outside, was the decision made. A single action, and all gates closed simultaneously. No chaos, no omissions. The entire system operated exactly as it had been calculated in advance. At dawn, people returned to check the site. Everything had gone according to plan. There were no signs of damage, no escape routes left open. More importantly, the area had returned to a stable state after weeks of continuous disruption. The gardens were no longer dug up every night. Farming families could finally feel reassured that their land and crops were being protected. But this story is not only about controlling a herd of wild boars. It reflects how humans adapt when the environment changes. When a challenge exceeds the capacity of individuals, the solution does not lie in rushed reactions, but in coordination, understanding, and patience at the community level. Because sometimes, protecting what you have is not about acting the fastest, but about acting at the right moment, with precise control and a collective willing to stand together.
The battle against wild boars is quietly unfolding across the vast fields of Texas. These wild boar herds don't just destroy crops, they also cause tens of thousands of dollars in damage to farmers. This issue isn't something that happens overnight. It's a silent, escalating attack that grows every night, leaving farmers helpless. This increase in boar activity threatens not only the community but also their agriculture. Wild boars are not always easy to spot. At first, they leave only scattered footprints in remote fields, which are not always noticeable. But when these tracks start appearing every morning and evening, it's no longer a coincidence. The Boers have claimed this territory. They don't just destroy the land, they also threaten the lives of the people living here. Without a strong solution, farmers would never be able to protect their crops. A new trapping system was developed to address this problem. The Boar Buster system, after several days of field surveys, was installed with high precision. Every trap location, activation time, and entry point was meticulously planned. However, the wild boars weren't easily fooled. They cautiously tested the area, waiting for the right moment. When the trap system was activated for the first time, things didn't go as expected. Despite the experts' careful calculations, a delay in the trap's response gave the boar herd an opportunity to escape. The death of any member of the herd could trigger a chain reaction, making the others more cautious. Every second counts when dealing with wild animals. After the first failure, the experts didn't give up. They quickly realized the problem was the delay in the activation mechanism and the imperfect entry angle. The entire system was adjusted to react faster and more accurately. The closer they got to the target, the more patient and detailed the adjustments had to be. Rushing things wasn't always the best option. A small misstep could result in failure. The following night, the trap system was redeployed. This time, everything went perfectly. The boar herd didn't notice the danger in time. Every move went smoothly, and the activation mechanism quickly contained the entire herd in the trap. The safety of the crops and the community was secured. This wasn't just a small victory, but the first step toward fully controlling the wild boar problem. Setting the trap isn't just about technical knowledge, it's also an art of understanding wild animals. The net trap was used to contain the entire herd without causing panic. Once all the boars had entered, the trap was lowered without making a sound or causing any disturbance. This calm strategy ensured the herd didn't recognize the danger until they were fully contained. Wild boar traps don't only help protect crops, but also serve as a safeguard for people's lives. When threatened, wild boars can become extremely dangerous. With strong defensive instincts, they'll attack anything in their path. Controlling the herd doesn't just protect the land, but also reduces the risk of harm to humans. Once the wild boars are caught, they are moved to designated areas for processing. This process is carried out very carefully to ensure the safety of both the animals and those involved. The boars may be taken to facilities where they are handled according to legal regulations or relocated to other areas to be released back into their natural habitat. The battle against wild boars isn't won in one go. It's a long and continuous process of control, aimed at maintaining the balance between humans and nature. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to leave your thoughts and share this video so more people can understand how to protect the community and nature.
In just a single night, the entire field was torn apart, damage estimated to exceed $50,000. By the time daylight had fully settled, all that remained was churned up soil and rows of crops completely destroyed. Months of hard work had nearly vanished without a trace. With no time left to hesitate, the farmer was forced to deploy a solution never attempted before. But the question remained, could they stop the entire herd in one attempt, or would the destruction continue in the days ahead? The entire process was documented, beginning with the construction of a massive circular trap measuring up to 30 feet in diameter, a design aimed not at individual animals, but at capturing the entire herd at once. The objective was clear: at least 30 wild boars in a single operation. Because if even a few were left behind, the survivors would quickly adapt, become more cautious, and nearly impossible to trap again using the same methods. For a 500-acre farm under constant pressure, this was no longer an experimental option. It was a necessary step to regain control. For that reason, in areas with high wild boar density, a large-scale steel trap system was chosen. The circular structure, built from 4-gauge steel, stood like a reinforced enclosure. Its design eliminated sharp corners, creating an open and natural space that allowed the herd to enter without suspicion. The steel gate, 8 feet wide and weighing around 150 pounds, was connected via LTE and could be operated remotely by phone. The entire system was anchored with steel posts driven nearly 90 centimeters into the ground, strong enough to withstand the powerful force of adult boars. Each day, approximately 90 kilograms of corn were spread evenly to maintain their return pattern. During the first 3 to 5 nights, the gate remained open so the herd could become familiar with the environment without sensing any threat. Only when infrared cameras confirmed that the entire herd had moved deep inside did the operator activate the closing mechanism from distances of up to 6 kilometers. In the instant the gate dropped, every escape route was completely sealed. There was no turning back, no way out. The final result demonstrated the effectiveness of the entire system. "32 wild boars were captured in a single event, with a total estimated weight exceeding 2,500 pounds. This was not only an immediate reduction in damage, but also a way to prevent future re-entry from the same herd. Beyond crop destruction, wild boars also carry dangerous diseases such as African swine fever, ASF, porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, and other respiratory illnesses that can spread rapidly. When they enter livestock areas, they can transmit these diseases to domestic animals, causing serious consequences for entire farming systems. In addition, bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli can spread through the environment, increasing biosecurity risks. This makes controlling wild boars not just about protecting crops, but also a critical part of disease prevention strategies. When pushed into a controlled situation, wild boars can become extremely dangerous. Adult males, especially during breeding season, are capable of aggressive reactions to any intrusion. This creates significant risks for farmers and others working in affected areas. That is why controlling them in populated regions has become essential to protect both people and property. As the trapping day came to an end, the field gradually returned to silence. They carried the results of the entire operation back with them, leaving behind land that had just been reclaimed. And in that moment, they knew the season still had a chance to be saved.
In Bavaria, where dense forests intertwine with agricultural land, the presence of wild boars is no longer a rare occurrence. Their numbers continue to grow, spilling into fields and turning the soil into chaotic, torn-up patches. More concerning is that even during the day, some individuals are now pushing deeper into residential areas, crossing roads, appearing near homes and gardens. Encounters are no longer unusual, and in some cases, people have been attacked when getting too close. The situation has escalated rapidly, forcing authorities to launch a large-scale control operation. Reconnaissance efforts are carried out continuously, combining helicopters and unmanned aerial devices to pinpoint exactly where the herds are hiding and the routes they follow. The data quickly reveals a clear pattern. They do not move randomly but repeat familiar paths night after night. Based on this information, control teams begin planning trap installations at key points. Every detail is carefully calculated, because even a small mistake could cause the entire herd to disappear and become more cautious. Once the location is confirmed, the trap setup process officially begins. Heavy-duty steel mesh panels are transported into the selected area and assembled into a closed circular structure based on prior survey data. Steel posts are driven deep into the damp forest ground and tightened with high-tension straps to ensure absolute stability. The sound of metal echoes, breaking the stillness of the Bavarian forest. From the outside, the structure appears simple, just a circular fence. But in reality, it is a large-scale trap, designed to close at the precise decisive moment. Once the frame is complete, the control team moves into the final preparation stage. Infrared cameras are installed around the perimeter, mounted high on tree trunks to monitor the entire approach to the trap. Every action is carried out quickly and with strict control to minimize human traces, avoiding any disruption to the herd's natural behavior. Then, bait is placed. Corn and sugar beets, common food sources for wild boars in Europe, are scattered to form a trail leading inward. The largest portion is placed at the center, acting as the main attractant, gradually drawing the herd deeper inside without them realizing the boundary around them.
He's automatically.
Drop trap.
When everything is ready, the area returns to silence. No signs of human activity remain, only the faint scent of food drifting through the cold air. Somewhere in the forest, sensitive noses have already picked up the signal. As night falls, the silence grows heavier. Then, the first movements appear on the monitoring screens. The herd has returned. The lead boar steps forward, pauses, sniffs, and scans the surroundings. Behind it, the rest of the group waits in the darkness. Naturally cautious, they are slowly pulled closer by the scent of food. Guided by the leader, one by one they begin to enter, without hesitation, without suspicion. When the entire herd is fully inside the trap's range, the decisive moment arrives. The trap gauge is triggered. A sudden metallic sound shatters the forest stillness. Instantly, the entire herd erupts into panic. They rush in all directions, slamming into the fence, trampling over one another in an attempt to escape. The ground is churned up under the weight of dozens of bodies. The largest individuals throw their full force against the steel structure, but the flexible mesh system absorbs the impact without breaking. Smaller ones try to leap over, but the height and enclosure stop every attempt. Chaos spreads as they realize there is no way out. When the control team returns, the scene has changed. The herd is no longer violently struggling. Many are exhausted after hours of trying to escape, while others stand still in a state of high alert. With more than 20 animals contained in a single capture, the farmer can finally breathe a sigh of relief. This is not just the result of one night's effort, but proof of a precise strategy, built on a deep understanding of the species' behavior. And this time, the cycle of destruction has truly been broken.
Come on. There we go. Oh.
If this herd can survive tonight, what is preserved is not just a few rows of trees or a patch of farmland. It is an entire year of labor, days under the sun and wind, hours of constant care, all of which can vanish overnight if wild boars sweep through. In many rural areas across the United States, this scenario is no longer unfamiliar. It repeats itself again and again, silently yet devastatingly, as dozens of hectares of land are torn apart before the sun even rises. With wild boars, everything happens faster than human response capacity. They leave little time for thinking or preparation. Once a target is chosen, they move according to their own plan, quietly and with precision. Statistics show that even a group of 15 to 20 individuals is enough to destroy more than 1 hectare of crops within a few nighttime hours. And what is even more concerning than their destructive power is the way they learn. If not addressed early, the damage will quickly spiral out of control. Recovery costs are always far higher than initial prevention costs. And the longer it continues, the more cautious the herd becomes. Sound devices and simple deterrents may work at first, but over time, they gradually lose effectiveness. Wild boars learn very quickly. They adapt, remember, and adjust their behavior after only a few encounters. Instead of betting everything on a large-scale solution from the beginning, the first strategic step is surprisingly simple: set up a small trap for observation. This is not the stage for catching as many as possible, but for understanding the herd's behavior. Which one leads? Which one is the most alert? How long does it take for the entire group to enter the baited area? These seemingly minor details ultimately determine the outcome. Just one small mistake can cause the opportunity to disappear completely. If the herd detects any unusual sign, they may not return for days, even weeks. In wildlife control, understanding behavior is always more important than acting hastily. Patience in the early stage is an investment in long-term effectiveness. Once the herd's movement patterns and reactions become clear, the strategy begins to shift. The setup cannot remain unchanged for too long, as that would make the trap detectable. The trap height is adjusted, and the activation timing is recalculated with greater precision. When the herd's reaction time is reduced to a minimum, the chance of escape becomes almost non-existent. A drop trap does not need to be complex. What matters is timing. When triggered at the right moment, the entire herd has almost no time to scatter. Their herd instinct, the very trait that helps them survive, becomes their weakness. They move together, react together, and when captured, they are captured all at once. As a result, the damage is stopped at the source before it can spread. After successful captures, the trapping system continues to be refined. The mechanism becomes smoother, the structure stronger, yet without unnecessary complexity. Costs may increase, but every adjustment is based on real data collected in the field. Bait placement is optimized. Activation timing is fine-tuned. The goal is not the biggest trap, but the most suitable one for the specific conditions of each area. Ultimately, effectiveness does not come from scale, but from understanding. Understanding how the herd moves. Understanding how they react. And most importantly, understanding when to act. When these elements come together, control is gradually regained. If you have ever faced a similar situation, you will understand that this is not just a battle against an animal. It is a battle of patience, observation, and making the right decision at the right time. Block the right path, act at the critical moment, and above all, always comply with local regulations and work with experienced professionals to ensure safety for both people and the surrounding environment.